You are very good at decorating that tree.
Why are you messing with me? Did Crumpet put you up to this?
I'm not messing with you. It's just nice to meet another human who shares my affinity for elf culture.
I'm just trying to get through the holidays.
Get through? Christmas is the greatest day in the whole wide world!
Please stop talking to me.
Uh-oh. Sounds like someone needs to sing a Christmas carol.
No way.
Best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing loud for all to hear.
Thanks, but I don't sing.
Oh, it's easy. It's just like talking, except louder and longer, and you move your voice up and down.
I can sing, but I just choose not to sing. Especially in front of other people.
Well, if you sing alone, you can sing in front of other people. There's no difference.
Actually, there's a big difference.
No, there isn't. Wait. I'm singing! I'm in a store and I'm singing! I'm in a store and I'm singing!
Hey! There's no singing in the North Pole.
Yes, there is!
No, it's not.
We sing all the time!
No, it's not.
Especially when we make toys! See?
You've landed on The Substance, a podcast aimed at being biblical, thoughtful, and human. Join us each week as we engage the culture without the culture war. My name is Vincent Edwards. I am joined with my buddies and my co-hosts, Trevor Aiken.
Hey, what's up?
And Philip Marinello.
Marinelle.
I think that's me. Hey, everybody.
See, I told y'all not to let me do it.
Don't mess up. Philip
Getting a little
Marinelle.
rust.
What up,
Philip
Marinelle?
Marinello.
Hey,
My bad.
My name's
Philip
been butchered.
Marinello.
Far worse than that. It's quite all right.
I'm going to start calling
Yeah.
you Nelly.
Hey.
You could do that.
Well, hey, if you are just joining us, it's your first time listening to The Substance, welcome.
We are not just a Christmas movie podcast.
We are not. We
This
are.
may surprise you.
Wow.
Yeah, we are a variety Christian show. We talk about a lot of different things, try to be inviting of anyone and everyone who listens. But today we are going to be talking about a particular movie because this is
wonderful
what we
movie.
call substantive cinema.
That's right. A lot of people love the show for the substantive cinema. You might be a first-time listener because you're like, whoa, Elf? Really? Welcome. Welcome, everybody. I love this movie. I'm so
Yeah,
excited.
good.
I'm excited.
It's excellent. So I'll hit you with this, Trev, since you were hitting me on planes, trains, and automobiles. What's substantive about Elf, Trevor?
Man, we're just diving right into it. That's fine. Let's get right to it. Yeah, I watched this movie today. Fresh, I usually watch
did
it
as well.
every holiday season. But yeah, that was something that was on my mind. I give Philip a hard time a lot about the show and like the stuff we talk about because I'll always kind of drive like, all right, are we on course? Like, is this substantive? Is this something that's really going to bring value to people's lives and stuff like that? And so. I had an easier time justifying myself, Elf, I feel like, than planes, trains, automobiles.
No.
Maybe just because I love it that much. But no, I was thinking through it, and I think that if you're going to find a substantive theme in a candy-coated movie like Elf, it's going to be in the fact there's this... We're just jumping right into it. There's this like fish out of water syndrome where it's kind of like on the Island of Blind Men parable where like the sighted person comes into the city of blind folks and they think he's weird because he has sight. If there's a substantive theme in the film, it's along that variety.
Okay.
A joyful Buddy the Elf, played by Will Ferrell, comes
a
into...
human raised by elves.
Yes, human raised by elves, 30-year-old man-child, Buddy
Smiling
the
is
Elf.
his favorite thing.
Will Ferrell comes into heartless New York City, and every life he touches, he brings joy, happiness, and some sort of humanity to.
Yeah.
In a refreshing way for people. And somehow he's the weird one. But in reality, he has this kind of just childlike, simple wonder of the goodness of life and the goodness of relationships and like the naturalness of, I love you, Dad. just something really not like just the care that human beings could have for each other. And it's that just over the top childlike care and love and all of those kind of things that make him really weird. And objectively, like you look at it, and they say this throughout the movie, like he's insane, like he's certifiable, like he's, there's something wrong, he's chemically imbalanced.
That was weird. After the little the Christmas gram. That was weird.
That was weird. And that's true to an extent, but I feel like he also exposes like the fact that they think that's weird, that he's weird, like it kind of exposes this kind of inhumane grind that all these people are on, and he helps them wake up to see each other and the goodness of being around each other and having relationships and just the joy of being human in a way. So I think that's if there's a substantive element that I would point to, that's where I'd go with it. And maybe
there's definitely a conversation to be had there. Like I was like just on a movie level, like a movie's first job in my as far as I'm concerned, is to be entertaining and like engaging because it's a movie. And I mean, I want to talk about maybe like the movie as a technical item later, but like just Will Ferrell. I was thinking, it's like, what is so funny about this? Because like Will Ferrell's great, but usually he's either like the really dumb guy or just really raunchy.
Right.
And it kind of wasn't either of those things with this.
Yeah.
It's like, so what's so funny about this? Like, he's not playing stupid and it's not raunchy at all. So like, what is so funny about this? And kind of to Trevor's point, I think it's just how genuine he is.
Yes.
Like, it's so funny because he's just so genuine in every moment. Like when he is thinking he's an elf, trying to be an elf, when he's clearly like 6 foot tall and like 4 times the size of everybody else. Like that's funny because he is genuinely trying to do elf things and succeed as an elf, and he is like in no way suited to that, and that's funny. And then when he gets to New York, he's got all of his like happiness and joy and Christmas spirit and all these things, and like it's funny because he's being so genuinely himself, like Trevor said, in a kind of a very cynical, utilitarian kind of like some of the stuff we talked about with Alan Noble, like the very like grind and efficient, like the world of like high class publishing. And he's so out of place in that. Yeah. But like he is just so genuinely himself that it's very funny movie. I can't even tell you how many times I've seen it, and there's not a lot of movies that you can watch every year and be like, no, that's still very funny.
Yeah.
Like,
and that was my takeaway as well. Just this, like you said, is super genuine and already, like you said, Trev, kind of exposing this. And I think ultimately it's like, it's joyful, but it's also like, dang, how much have I been the people around Buddy who are not Buddy? You know what I mean? Where it's just like, I'm taking life so seriously and I have to curate a certain type of personality and work ethic and just be focused on certain things, and to the point where I can't experience just the joy of life. Or like you said, Phil, like be genuine with people and just be bold to express love or care or acceptance or welcoming to just other people, and just invite that in a very welcoming and loving way. And so in a way, it's like it's encouraging to be like, man, even though obviously I don't want to eat, spaghetti with maple syrup.
Very gross.
Certain aspects I do still want to, like, there's an aspect of that where it's like, man, there's nothing wrong with embracing certain elements of that joyfulness and that genuineness in regular life, because it can be infectious in a world that seems to want to not be infected with that kind of genuine nature.
Yo, the scene though where he makes breakfast for them all and then he's eating his own and he puts
Pop-Tarts in it. And
so
cracks
gross.
the Pop
He
Tarts
goes
over.
in with his fingers.
Yeah, that makes my teeth hurt, man. Like just watching that scene.
Yeah, I was kind of looking away from the screen when that was happening because that was a bit much.
You're looking through the fingers.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I took us down this path. We were already kind of in the substance. I want to kind of pull back a little bit and kind of talk about the movie as a personal artifact. It's been around since 2003, and I'd love to hear about your guys. I know a little bit with Trevor. The last few years when he was in Kansas City, our families and our kids would get together and we'd watch it together. But like, how have you guys engaged with this over the years? Is this something you guys have always loved? How long have you guys been on this?
Yeah, I haven't been on it super long because if anybody knows my story, I grew up not celebrating holidays or anything like that.
That's right.
But within the last few years, even prior to actually being comfortable with celebrating holidays, I've found it like these last few years, 3-4 years have been just like something I want to watch at least once every year.
Mhm.
And it's just so... it hits every time. And we were talking about that beforehand, how it's just like it does not miss.
It's a delight.
It's a very delightful movie. So it's always, and then I just always liked Will Ferrell films. So then, once I got wind that there was this movie, Christmas themed Elf, I was already on board because it was like I'm already a fan of Will Ferrell. And then it delivered.
I like Will Ferrell in some areas. What I like about this movie, and Philip kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier too, is like it is accessible Will Ferrell fare for somebody who doesn't like Will Ferrell. Like my wife really does not like Will Ferrell.
Same.
Hates Anchorman, hates Talladega Nights, like is not in it at all. SNL, not her thing, but loves Elf. Just loves Elf. Like it's a Will Ferrell movie for people who are not into Will Ferrell movies, and a Will Ferrell movie for people who are into Will Ferrell movies. Like it's just
right.
It's super accessible, and I think it's for those reasons that Phil mentioned earlier. Like he's not being overly stupid. He's not being raunchy. There's really none of that stuff in there. I watched it with my kids today.
I was thinking about watching it. So I watched it today for the show. We haven't had like our family viewing. I was talking with my wife, like, do we want to let the 3-year-old watch it this year? Like, there's maybe some stuff that might be a little bit much, but like, I don't think I'd have any major issues showing it to him. I don't know if he'd like it.
Yeah.
Like 95 minutes as a 3-year-old, a non-animated movie is a hard sell, even with a goofy giant man.
My 3-year-old didn't quite get it. And my older kid, when we watched it in previous years, didn't really get it at that younger age either. And there's actually some parts where like the movies, like the music's going, the Central Park Rangers are on their horses and charging, and like she actually was like, I'm a little scared from the intensity
and
of
like
some of that.
the dad of like, get out of here, like I don't love you or whatever it was. I was like, that's kind of a lot too. So I think we'll probably stick with The Grinch, the animated one with him.
That's a solid choice too.
That's a good one.
You guys, I think, introduced us to that last year.
Yeah, we watched that.
Ezra thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. Like Ezra loves The Grinch. It's not quite in the Toy Story arena, but it's up there for him.
No, for me, I think this has always been a film ever since I started. Like, I think maybe I got introduced to it watching it in groups, and it's kind of something I've always watched with people. College ministries had watching events that Philip mentioned, and watched it with them before. And then this year had the privilege of really kind of getting to enjoy it with my older kid, who like is actually really kind of funny. Like we've talked to her before about Santa, and like kind of tried to explain like, Santa is a story that has a real point and is based on a real character in ways, but like it's a story, like it's not reality that there's this. So we had that discussion with her at like 3 and 4 and all this stuff, but like here she is at 5, she's in school, and now it's like she's really trying to like litigate this like, is Santa a real thing? And like and I think this movie, like, she was like, see, at the end of it, she's like, see, Santa is real. And like getting all into it. And it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun to watch it with her and like watch her get into it and like laugh along with it and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my history with it.
I mean, I was looking. So it came out in 2003. I pretty sure I saw it in the theater with my mom and sister back then.
Spoiler alert that Santa's not real.
Oh no!
Oh, yeah. If you didn't know, now you know.
I feel like I saw that in the theater, and like, yeah, I was kind of rolling my eyes like, oh, that's a kids movie. Like, I liked Will Ferrell on SNL. So like, this is a kids movie, but like, it's so good. I was very charmed, and I mean, I don't think it became an immediate annual watch. Like my family growing up, and now still with my household, we were Muppets Christmas Carol and Die Hard were our Christmas movies, and those are still my annual watches. But now we have 3, and Elf is our other one, and I've probably watched this for the last, I don't know, at least 10 years.
Yeah, Willie, like,
That's awesome.
Like we found out when we did our Thanksgiving episode that like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was like probably still running number 1 in 2003 in the holidays or something.
Oh yeah, probably will not plan on having a box office segment for each of these, but I was curious to check. Holiday movies sell. $33 million budget, made 225. Just make a good holiday movie, and I'm sure that's not. I'm sure that's not updated probably for all of the re-releases, and I'm sure it killed on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, digital. Like Elf is making money all the time, and I really respect. This is a total sidebar. You can cut this if you want. I saw somewhat recently. It comes up every now and then, but I saw an interview with Will Ferrell earlier this year. He turned down a vast sum of money to do Elf 2 because he's like, none of the ideas sounded any good. Like, I don't want to touch. Like, you could maybe potentially get me back to it, but like, it's perfect. And
yeah,
I think he turned down like almost, it was like 25 or 30 million bucks.
Wow.
To be in Elf 2, and he's like,
no,
you could maybe get me back if it was like incredible, but like nothing I've heard's been very good.
That's
insane.
Shout out to Will Ferrell.
Yeah,
that integrity.
Yeah, like preserving the like not everything has to be serialized. Have, like,
Elf 6. Yeah,
not everything. has to be
exactly.
serialized.
Like 3, like we could be on Elf like 6, 7, or 8 by now.
My goodness,
right? Like Transformers, or what's the other one? Fast and Furious. Just make an empire out of it,
or just like Ghostbusters 4. They make it a new every year. It's like they're making a new everything. Like everything has to be a serialized version. Like it's like, oh,
and I don't mind them when they're good, but like Elf was an original idea.
Yeah.
Okay, this is another sidebar. We haven't covered any of his other movies. Jon Favreau can make a freaking movie,
right?
Yeah,
he's incredible.
I love him as a doctor in here too. He's just like shows up.
Because I watch it every year. I forget. I was like, does he do a voice? He's got to make an appearance. And then he's like, oh yeah, he's the doctor. But he's eating the cotton balls.
It's a boy.
So yeah, no, love this movie.
We didn't do our disclaimer, so if you haven't seen Elf, what's happening? Please go see Elf.
Spoiler.
Fred's Christmas cheered spoilers. Spoiler alert! 20 minutes into the podcast.
Hey, yeah, you're in it now, so it is what it is.
Human born.
Like, man, y'all ruined Elf for me. I didn't know what was going to be coming at the
end. So yeah, as far as the story, Santa making his rounds throughout, the world, delivering presents.
As Santa does.
He's at an orphanage, and a baby sneaks into Santa's toy bag, and ultimately he gets delivered back to the North Pole. And since he's there, they basically grow him up over a 30-year period as an elf. And so this human grows up at the North Pole as an elf and gets familiar with elf traditions and all of these.
A lot of very good sight gags in this montage. A lot of very good jokes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, again, it's one of those things that actually reminds me as a segue. Philip, you and the guy we did The Thing with,
Mike White,
you both talked about how the movie was just so good that it's fine to not do anything else with it. It's just fine like it is. And I would say Elf kind of falls into that category for Christmas movies. It's just like, there doesn't need to be a second one. There doesn't need to be a remake. It's good as it is. Just let it live as it is.
Broadway show or something. But yeah, they just did it because it's great.
Yeah. And so it's one of those films where it's just like, you know, unlike Will Ferrell said, unless there's an actual like very good reason and story and plot and kind of way to go with it that it actually
even
makes
if there
sense.
was, you're like, why?
It's just like, yeah,
It's so
if
good.
not, just leave it
There's
alone.
no way. There's no way it could be as good. Or like I don't know. I don't want to say no way. Because like Creed was incredible. But like you don't need it.
Yeah, there are some movies that are just pretty untouchable.
How funny was the boy playing Buddy, like the giant child on Ed Asner's lap? Like, that's just funny to think about. That's just a funny mental image. Or, sorry, on Bob Newhart. Ed Asner was Santa.
Yeah.
I'm getting my old Hollywood guys mixed up. Like, just that kid on his lap. That's like twice his size sitting. That's funny. That's funny.
I love the scene where he's on the bicycle on his birthday and like pedaling around,
Just
and
driving around.
Bart's like holding on for dear life on the back.
And it's like, too fast, buddy.
It's stupid. Him in the shower. Funny.
Yes, every time.
Right.
He doesn't fit in.
The toy joke. He's when he gets put on the special elf squad and has to like test the toys out in the water.
Oh my god, that's legitimately hilarious to me, and it gets funnier and funnier. The Jack in the Box that scares him.
Yes.
Yeah.
The third one is like all three of them are funny, but it builds and builds and builds, and then the third one goes, oh, I guess it will. And then like
He's like,
jumps
it's actually broken, and then he starts to write it down.
It's like a subtle cut. Like it actually cuts, like it zooms in just a little bit more to his face, and like the sound kind of cranks up, and like it's very good editing.
Yeah,
there's not a
it's
whole lot
very
of
good.
like editing tricks, but that one was super
Well,
effective.
I mean, other than like the perspective stuff they do to make him look a lot bigger. There's actually
like
a fourth
camera stuff. There's not.
If you, I noticed on this viewing for the first time, there is a fourth Jack in the Box scare of Buddy the Elf at the
when
end
it's
of the
like-
movie.
Yep, near the
at
end.
the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Santa bag.
So he's holding on for dear life, and they rise, and the Jack in the Box pops out and scares him again.
It's like a little Edgar Wright callback almost. That's some great writing. I know Jon Favreau didn't write it, but yeah, he's an underrated filmmaker.
You think it was Brian? Was it Brian?
It was. I can tell you.
Brian
David
Barenbaum.
Barenbaum.
That's what it was.
I'm not terribly familiar with his work here. Yeah, his other movies weren't as good. I mean, The Haunted Mansion was fine. Zoom was not very good. Elf was his first movie. It's that first
There you
movie
go.
magic.
Boom. Got it in one.
Yeah, Spiderwick Chronicles. Yeah, no good. And I'm sure that Will Ferrell and Jon Favreau made it better. But yeah.
I was reading that Will Ferrell, when they got to New York, had like kind of free reign to make jokes and like do funny stuff.
That's a great set of montages too. And he's like eating the gum and taking the flyers and walking through the hotel revolving doors.
Yeah.
And just saying hi to
He waves at the dude trying to hail a taxi.
Right. Yeah.
He's like, hi,
hello.
And the running theme of like how he just doesn't understand that there's like all these roads everywhere, and then just keeps getting ran over by cars,
almost hit by cars,
or like actually hit by cars.
Yeah, getting hit by cars as well. I think
Best Cup of Coffee is very dumb,
good,
but very fun. I like it when it cuts to the guy who's like, "Stop making fun of me, guy." Like, but he's just so genuine. He's like, "What is happening?"
Right. I think one of my favorite scenes is because I think behind the scenes when he confronted the fake Santa, and obviously that was hilarious. And you sit on a throne of lies. And what I did find out from the BTS was they had to do that in one take because all of that, like the Legos and the
stuff they were
decoration.
destroying.
Yeah, the stuff that they were like actually destroying, they couldn't. I mean, they obviously could, but it would just take such a long time.
33 million wasn't enough money to set it up again to rebuild the Lego city.
They had to do all of that in one take, but it's just like that was a great take. They did a great job, and they're just that genuine. Like, I actually personally know Santa, and I know you're not it.
When he first, some of my favorite, like, it's hard to pick like a favorite bit, But I love the stuff with him and Faison Love. Like when he gets it, he goes, no, like I know Santa. He's like, there's no singing. And he goes, yeah, there is singing at the North Pole. We do it all the time. He goes, no, there's not. He goes, yes, there is. Like,
this isn't the North
so
Pole.
good.
Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Where's the snow?
He's like, yeah, it's innocent. Like he's not dumb. It very much is like that childhood innocence, like genuine, like he knows things to be true, but like he doesn't understand our world. And like you're saying, and it's not a perfect analogy, and I don't think they were seeking out to like make a huge point, but to kind of like shine some light on like, hey, modern life can be pretty like cynical and go and like efficiency and all that.
Yeah.
And there's joy to be had.
I love their depiction of the retail too. The funny thing about it, right, is that, and some people, I read some people who were really critical of the movie and saying like they failed at this, like it was a movie that didn't believe its own premise or whatever. But I think that's a misreading of the film. Like when Elf comes in, he's like, that's not the real Santa, and like is critiquing all this stuff at Gimbel's. The point is like how commercialized it is. The reality of Jovi, played by Zoe Deschanel, is like, they turn my, like I'm showering here because they turned my water off. Like I'm working retail, it sucks. The holidays suck.
Wait, her intro was like, yeah, I'm just trying to get through the holidays. He's like, the holidays are the best ever.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you say that?
Right. But that's so genuine.
Like, her version of the holidays is not his version of the holidays.
Yeah. And you see that, like you see her boss and like corporate's trying to get my job, and if they get me, everybody's gonna go, like all this like 6-inch ribbon curls, 6 inches. He's like, that's impossible. All this like unreal expectations and like the increased hype and like dealing with the kids and all this stuff. And like he comes into it and is like, that's fake. You're not the real Santa. I actually
like
believe this stuff.
I'm betting that was an ad lib. That's very Will Ferrell.
So good. For sure.
You smell like beef and cheese. I'm sure that's like a shirt somewhere.
So I think that's the thing, is like it's tongue in cheek, but it's like critiquing all of that, like the commercialization of it. And in some sense, like, yeah, is Elf a cheap commercialization itself? Is it a cash grab in a way, I guess, on Christmas spirit? Maybe, but it doesn't come off that way.
I don't think so.
Right. I don't think it doesn't feel that way when you watch it. It doesn't read that way.
Well, and it could be a different answer for Will Ferrell and Jon Favreau versus like who put this out, like whatever the company is that owns it. Like, sure, like they want to make money. Warner Brothers or whoever, like they want, or New Line, they want to make money, but like it's wonderful film.
Yeah.
So I love that they got James Caan to play Buddy's father. I was not hoping, we're gonna see, because he's one of my favorite Twitter follows that I have. I was gonna see if he would want to be on the show with us. The man declined to reply, which is as expected. But the man is like Hollywood royalty. And he does some of these like hilarious movies where you're like, is he doing them for money? Is he doing them for like kids or whatever? But it's great to see like the James Caan renaissance that's happened over. Some of it is not as good as the others, but he's so good in here as like the tough guy dad who like used to be sweet and used to kind of be romantic or whatever, but then kind of left that behind to like join the real world. And he's introduced in the movie as, buddy, I have bad news for you. Like, you go to New York, meet your dad, but he's on the naughty list.
He's on the naughty list.
Because he's a heartless executive that his actual introduction in the movie is like taking school books away from like Catholic school children because
they
didn't
like make their payments
behind on a payment or something. It's a total movie silly thing, but like he's talking to a nun. He's like, no, we're taking all your kids' books away.
And the very next thing he does is he publishes a book. He signs off on publishing a kid's book. He's like, kids, they can't read anyway, so what do they care?
On an incomplete book that's like missing 2 or 3 pages.
It's like a Puppy and the Pigeon. Who cares about what happens to the Puppy and the Pigeon? Just no, we're not going to take a $30 million loss on that. And I mean, obviously, there's bad business when you don't treat people well and sign off on crappy work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the casting was on point.
His arc was really, I mean, if you're looking at a character that changes the most, he was probably he was the one.
Yeah.
He goes from like the hard-hearted corporate guy who only cares about himself to you have that moment towards the end of the movie with him in the business meeting on Christmas Eve that he even decided to take on Christmas Eve, where Buddy went missing and his other son came and he's like, hey, like, we need to go. And he's like, well, kind of actually had that moment to where he had to choose like family
Fork
or
in the
work.
road, yeah.
And seemingly
Yeah.
for like the first time in probably a very, very long time, he chose something that didn't feel like it immediately benefited his like material pursuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like this movie is a very character-driven movie in that way. Like,
Yes.
it's all of the... So, like, the main arc, obviously, is Buddy and his dad and their relationship and how's that going to come together. But all of the side arcs, too. Like, he meets Jovi in the store. Like, he gets kind of brought into this family. So then, like, him and his stepmom and, like, him and his stepbrother... I love the him and his stepbrother. Like, that's one of the first like kind of subplots, and it's like, okay,
Walking him home from school with the bullies and all that.
yeah, and like they get into like it looks like he's walking through. I don't think it's Central Park. It's
I'm sure it's movie
on like the west
geography,
side,
I'm
yeah.
sure.
But like they get ambushed in this snow fight, and one of the funny things about the film is that like because of Buddy's elf upbringing, he has like these like superhuman elf powers.
In a sense, yeah.
You know?
Like something not akin to the regular humans who don't live in North Pole.
I love it. I love it. So like in this scene, there's so many scenes where that's a joke. Like I got a full 40 minutes rest. Like it was great.
Right. And I was able to build that horse.
And so they're like under fire and stuff. He's like, all right, just get to work building some snowballs. And like his bro just comes in and like packs one, and he's got like this pyramid of snowballs.
Right. He's got at least 20.
And then he's just like literally a
Then he
human
starts throwing 'em like a
snowball
Gatling gun.
machine gun.
Yeah.
Just you know, then it's funny because his brother goes from being like this kind of skeptic of like, literally he says to him on their first night, like, you're a weirdo. You're not charming. You're not funny. And I feel like, I feel it's so funny because like when you read people and their responses to this movie, like it's kind of that. The people who are like the critics who didn't get it and like rated it really low, like that was them to this movie. It's like, you're a weirdo. But like then him afterwards and like seeing Buddy like just care for him and stand up for him and pay attention to him and like, hey, I sat out 5 hours in the cold for you. Why's your coat so big?
for 5 hours?
Why's your coat so big?
Yeah, just asking all those questions. Yeah.
And like, but it's because he cares about him, right? And he's gonna defend him, and he's, you know, he decides, you know what, like it doesn't matter if you're weird or a little off or whatever. I don't understand you, but like you care, and I'm for that, you know, like that's what matters. And even the stepmom is kind of like starts putting some pressure, like, hey, you know, you haven't really been there for your son, like,
Yeah.
for your younger son, like that. It's kind of nice that like somebody's paying attention to him and like he's actually happy and all that kind of stuff. So all these little like character plots are Buddy is through just genuine care and like thinking about others, you know, like
He's affecting his community, the people around him.
yeah.
And what I found super interesting, because I often take those certain plots and think about how they would play out in real life, and you know how many people have, you know, gone through the foster care system or adoption system, or just at the very least, you know, not had a relationship with their father. And I mean, on day one, he's like, because of the environment that he's in and the love and the joy and the genuineness that he's grown up in, he's just like, day one, I found my dad and I love you.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I love you, and he's like, okay.
right,
Thanks.
exactly. It's
Or
just like,
whatever.
okay. And you know, I'm not surprised, and I don't fault, you know, the dad who's meeting this person for the first time, saying that you're my dad, saying he has a son from a relationship that he had no idea, saying I'm a little put off about this. But it's just that it's so refreshing to be able to see, you know, a response to life circumstance that isn't coming from a place of bitterness. And I think that part of it for me is super refreshing, because it's just like you can see the situation and say, you know, circumstances happen and I did end up here, but you are my dad. You know what I'm saying? And he can just pour that genuine and that love into his dad, even though it's like he doesn't have any relationship with him, but he's so hopeful for the potential of what could happen. And it's just like that's super refreshing.
It's sweet without being like just mushy gushy over the top.
No.
Like it threads the needle in a lot of scenes. I mean, throughout the whole thing. I love how good was it when he was trying to go to bed and his like long legs were sticking under the blanket. Dad, can you tuck me in?
Can you tuck me in?
He starts a tickle fight. Like, and like James Caan, who like was in The Godfather, is being tickled by Will Ferrell. Like, it's so funny. It's so funny. And he's like this New York tough guy that like if you weren't related to him, like you'd be like, is this guy gonna like kill me? Like,
right, exactly.
Yeah. And you see like giant, like childlike Will Ferrell like tickling him, like
tuck me in, Dad. I think though, like that scene is such a good scene in so many ways, and I think it's kind of like the low point for James Caan's character, in that like when he's like, I love you, Dad, like good night, I love you, and he goes okay and leaves. I'm like, that's brutal. I get not being with it when you're bailing him out of jail. I knew you'd pick up my call. It was hilarious. Right. But like, you just tucked him in, and he's there in your house. And he's telling you, and you know he's your son.
I don't remember if that was after the doctor or not. Like, you understand the skepticism at the beginning. You're like, this is weird guy playing dress up. Like, is he trying to get something from me? But like, at that point, it was clear he was not. He just genuinely was looking for his dad,
and just like really loves you, and you're just like, okay, like that was the biggest Scrooge moment of the whole. Like even the point where he's like angry at him, and it's like, I don't want you in my life. You know, he just kind of ruined a high presser.
Okay, I wanted to talk about that. How great is that scene? Like, so good. I feel like it's even funnier in a more sensitive age.
It's
like,
so good.
I don't know if you could exactly make that scene now. You probably could, but like, you're an angry elf. How funny is that?
That was
and because he's playing it so genuinely. Goes, did you get here from the North Pole? Like, it must have been. How funny is that?
So that scene this time,
because it plays dual, like it sounds like a slight, but you know it's coming from a genuine place. It's perfect,
but it's just so horrible. Perfect. It's also just so horrible. Like you're just like,
real funny guy. Yeah, I get it. Ha ha ha.
Hey, we're all laughing here, bud. So the scene had added uncomfort for me this year. I'm watching it with my kid, and like, my oldest child doesn't understand
that part of the joke, the layers of
doesn't understand that there's small people in the world.
Yeah,
it's like, Daddy, like what's going on here? Like she's just like looking at me like, I don't understand why this man is short. That? Like why is this happening? And so I had to explain like, oh, okay, there's different genetic thing that goes on, so they don't grow up tall like most adults do, but like what Buddy's saying is very, very offensive. But he doesn't know it.
That's quite a conversation to have with the 5-year-old. Like the movie Elf introduces your child to little people, and you're like, I guess we're gonna try to have this conversation.
Dude,
but it's maybe better to have it in that instance, and not that. Hopefully, she doesn't repeat any elf language.
Yeah, hopefully, yes. Hopefully, she doesn't.
Part of that can be a cautionary tale.
Yeah. You might get beat up by Peter Dinklage. I mean, you know, he's got 70-inch plasmas.
You're an angry elf. Well, and I love how it cuts to the other people in the room. Like, it plays with the audience really well, but then every now and then it cuts to like,
they're like freaking out.
This guy is gonna like save the company, and you're calling him an elf and making like North Pole jokes.
They're just so shocked. Before that scene too, I mean, the casting was so good. The mailroom scene, this time as a parent, like I did get the feeling of like, I empathized a little bit with.
Yeah, it's like, go play in the other room.
I can't send him anywhere without supervision. They're like trying to negotiate, like, you stay home from work and watch him. No, you take him to work. Okay. So he sends him to the mailroom, and like he's maple syrup and coffee. What a great idea.
And then they're just like, I don't remember this joke because it's like a throwaway joke, but I laughed really hard this viewing. and I didn't remember it. Where like that other guy's like, yeah, I'm like 27 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm 26.
Or that clearly very old and run.
I've done. I know. I was looking at it really hard. Like, that dude's 26 for real.
I think that's the joke. That's the joke. It's like, you're my best friend.
I'm like 26. Don't have anything to show for my life.
It goes to show just how because of that genuine nature, how infectious it can be. Because then by the time things ended, I mean, the dude was dancing on the table.
Right.
And everybody was into it. And it's just like, it's uplifted the spirits in a way that most likely didn't have a whole bunch of joy, because it's the mailroom. You just, you send in
you don't want to be in there.
Right. You know what I mean? And so
he's
it's
bringing
just
humanity everywhere he goes.
Right, exactly. And maybe, obviously, like you said, Philip, it's probably not trying to teach these grand themes for people to take away and then, learn in their lives. But at the same time, you could take that and be like, man, if I sought to be just more genuine in life, how infectious that could be to other people, to also be just genuine towards others. And that could be a good thing.
If I just spiked the work coffee and then started dancing on the tables, I mean, who knows what kind of work environment we could have. Well, you just, go into some insurance agent's office and just put some extra maple syrup in there.
Probably, yeah.
Start dancing on the tables.
In plenty of offices, I'm sure that would be more than welcome.
Oh, it's so good. We interrupt the broadcast to bring you the special secret code phrase for the giveaway, which is Leon the Snowman. You need all three there. Leon the Snowman. If you're just hearing about the giveaway by listening to Substance, thanks for listening. The giveaway is for some InterVarsity Press books. To find out the rest of the ways that you'll need to enter, you can get on Instagram or Twitter at the Substance Pod and find out the details there. And then don't forget your special code phrase, Leon the Snowman. And now back to the show.
So I was looking on Letterboxd. I've told you guys about this. It's a past or future shout out, depending on when this releases. Mm-hmm. One of the guys who I've recently been following, who's got a podcast about faith and film and those things, one of his complaints was, he said, like, in the last third or so, that the laughs and stuff kind of died down. And I thought that was an interesting criticism. He said something like, it kind of forgets it's a Will Ferrell movie and kind of gets sappy. Like,
I saw
you definitely feel a little bit more things a little bit, but I still thought, like, because it's so well written, there was either like a joke or like a touching moment, like every minute or two, like every couple of minutes. Like I didn't feel like it dragged or dropped off at all. What did you say, Trev? Tell me about your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I read that in a number of the negative reviews I was checking out for this recording, and I don't get it. Like the Central Park Rangers thing is hilarious. Like I put them on the naughty list, and like the
but also
comments.
In 2021 that plays a little bit different too.
Yeah,
overzealous Central Park Rangers.
So, yeah, the crowd control techniques.
Yeah,
I mean that's kind of funny.
Or when he was reading off like the book to like when
people's
brother,
wishes.
Yeah. The biker in the bar who wanted like the spa treatment or whatever.
Good.
Like that's funny.
And like, if you've been paying attention, like to the film, and we've been saying this throughout it, like all the subplots, Buddy in the mailroom, Buddy and the security guards, Buddy and Goebbels, Buddy and Jovi, Buddy and his brother, Buddy and the stepmom, and then ultimately the big plot of Buddy and his dad. Like it's about like connecting people to cheer. So like, of course, the culmination of the movie is like how does he get it out there to the whole community? And they can't just do the cheap reveal. Oh, here's Santa Claus, of course, but like they get people together, they get people to think and wonder and like believe in some way and something bigger, and they're literally, the community's out there, they're like all together. They start singing, they're singing Christmas carols together, he's got his family working together. So like all this stuff that's happening,
it's a very unifying thing, and not that it's a culmination, not to Jesus juke it, but like the ethos of like loving your neighbor.
Yeah.
and doing good to your fellow man. Like
100%. Yes.
that's kind of what it's about if you're going to go the substantive route, I'd say.
And I just don't know what else they would want at the like if it had been like just okay, let's crank the slapstick up to 11. He goes on like some hijinks ride and like there's all sorts of silliness all the way into like
he has to deliver all the presents and he's like fumbling around. Like that's not as
I don't feel like that would have been as good. Like it let the characters that he had built the relationship like step up and like do something and have to be there. Like his brother has to step up and do something. Jovi has to step up and do something. Like the people.
I'll say I'm a big crier in movies. This didn't make me cry, but like I felt a little something.
Oh yeah,
when he was reading that book and it was the girl that he met at the doctor's office, and he says what she wanted, and it cuts to her, and she's like, "Thanks, buddy, for like putting in the good word for me." Like that was touching.
So good.
Yeah, it was.
The point of it was it's a relationship-driven movie. It's about the relationships that Buddy built and the lives he touched and brought joy into their lives in this season and helped them. I guess in some people think it's cheesy, but like remember the reason for the season. Like remember the holiday joy, like the fact that the holidays is supposed to be a time of celebration and joy, and how that affected their lives. And I think the biggest part obviously being that not only does Walter Hobbs have to make the fork in the road choice to like leave the meeting, go with his family, ends up going, wow, it's Santa Claus, helping out in different ways there. But then like everybody's singing and he's the one dude not singing. And there's something about like,
because he's a tough guy.
This is a Christian podcast and we, talk about church stuff. And that's not to cast shade on anybody. Sometimes you have a sore throat at church, you can't sing. But like, you've been going to church for years, and there's the person who just never sings. Just never. You always wonder like what's going on in their heart there. Like if people are shy. There's lots of reasons. I'm not trying to judge anybody. Never know unless you have a conversation what's going on. But like he's doing that, right? He's standing there, everybody's singing. He's like, do. And his son calls him out on it, like
that was good,
Dad, like for real. And like that's the thing that pushes it over the edge. Like this guy who really is, it's like his full conversion.
Up, yeah,
it's his full conversion. Like
that got me too. That was a touching.
It's
moment.
Exciting.
Yeah, it was.
And then if you also think about the arcs, I was just thinking about this. It's good, simple storytelling, but I also think about the principle of like we talked about being genuine, how that is best. At the beginning of the film with Walter's character, he was approving like BS work, like just who cares? Just print it out, make the money, da-da-da-da-da. Then toward like right before the final act, he's like, all right, I'm choosing my family over this meeting. But then at the end, it's not all about the material success, but at the end, because he made the right choices, he told Buddy's story, and that was a big hit. Doing good things for good reasons tends to, like, it's not going to say you can never do good things for a good reason and not have a bad outcome. But doing good things for good reasons tends towards good outcomes.
General wisdom stuff, right? And I loved that. I noticed this time on the door, it's like Hobbs and Son Publishing. So like, it's not just that like he's capitalized and monetized on his son's story, in some sort of like
big corporatized structure,
like just money grab thing. Like, oh, okay, let's milk this story for what it's worth. But like he's actually made a decision to prioritize family, to get Buddy into something that honestly makes a lot of sense for Buddy, like telling stories and like spreading joy. Like it all fits. Like it all works. It's just so wonderful.
It's there are a lot of other different kind of perfect movies, but it's kind of a perfect screenplay. I'd say it's excellent.
If you hate Elf, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry for your Grinchness. First off, no shade, but
no shade, but you're a Grinch, Trevor Aiken.
But two, you probably didn't get this far listening to us say how wonderful this movie is, because we just really said it over and over and over and over again.
And it's like low-key substantive. I love the First Reforms and the Hidden Lives and the heavy the auteur movies, but like this is so much fun.
This is definitely substantive in the like Trev can make a case version. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I thought it was. I was just giving you a hard time because you were
how'd I do?
moaning the whole way through Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh,
but no, it's a wonderful film.
yeah.
I hope they
man.
never make a sequel.
Yeah. So if you are planning on watching any movies during this holiday season, definitely put Elf on the playlist,
Sure.
and we truly believe that you'll enjoy it.
Let us know what you guys have in rotation.
Yeah, let's end out talking. I mean, I know we're gonna do substance shout outs, but like before we do any of that, why don't we, since this is our Christmas episode, why don't we talk about like what are some good holiday movies that we watch around the holidays? So we obviously Elf.
Sure.
So
Obviously, Elf.
My big three are Muppets Christmas Carol and Die Hard, along with Elf.
Nice.
And I also do really love the Charlie Brown Christmas special. I got the record. I got the vinyl going on repeat. I mean, we have a few Christmas records, but the Vince Guaraldi Charlie Brown special, that heavy rotation in December.
That's great stuff.
That's good. Mine's is Elf, obviously.
Yeah.
Home Alone, just the first one, none of the others. And
I gotta watch the first one again.
the first one's real good. I
I'm a
really
Home Alone
enjoyed
2
that
guy.
one. And then White Christmas, the original White Christmas movie.
It's great.
I love the music in that. I think that was the first time I saw like a Christmas movie, and just seeing the music and the choreography. And I thought it was just, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. And I thought it was like, who wants to watch a movie who's just going to sing that one song? And then and then I actually watch it and I'm just blown away. So that's definitely
a long
part.
song, everybody.
Right.
That's a 2-hour song.
So definitely White Christmas, Home Alone, and then Elf is definitely my top three for the holidays.
Is White Christmas a 2-hour music video for the song White Christmas? Like God's Not Dead is a 2-hour Newsboys music video?
Yo, chill.
The other one I've been doing the last several years and might be my son's first intense movie. I'm debating on when. He's certainly not yet because he's 3 years old. But Gremlins is the other one that I've been watching the last several years. Super fun. And this was, I got to get my years right. I think this was maybe before PG-13 was a thing. They pushed that PG pretty far with some of the gore in Gremlins.
Whoa.
Really?
I'm not as
It's like
familiar
a
with
Christmas. It's like a Christmas horror movie, and it's a delight for children of age.
Interesting. Yeah, we also do, Vince. We do White Christmas when we are. It is a tradition in our family that we play that when we get out the Christmas tree and decorate it with the kids. We put that on.
Nice.
Yeah, Bing Crosby. It's a classic.
I'm hoping to also do Little Women again this year because we've watched that the last year or two as well. We wanted to highlight, we have a partnership currently right now going from all December and then through the first week or so of January. I believe that's until January 9th. So through the first full week in January, we're partnering with IVP to bring you the Substance IVP holiday book list. So all the books we have either covered with the authors or have shouted out on the show or on our social media feeds. As a listener of The Substance, you get 40% off plus shipping. That is
a deal of a deal.
40% plus shipping. I was stunned. I was like, when they're like, hey, we want to do something with your listeners. And I was like, okay, cool. I thought it was going to be maybe 20, 25, but 40 plus shipping is bananas. So
please take advantage of that from December 1st all the way in through January 9th.
It's a good likelihood. If you listen to the show, you like books, but there's so many out there. It's like, what do you get? You got a curated list from a show you like, and then 40% off and free shipping, right here in the holidays.
Get some for yourself. Get some for gifts. Get some for maybe small groups. I'll hit a couple of my favorites. 3 of my top books of the year are on that. I know we'll probably do that show later on.
I think I'm going to get a book off there.
The year. 3 of my favorite books this year were The Liturgy of Politics by Kaitlyn Schiess, Reading While Black by Esau McCaulley, and When Thoughts and Prayers Aren't Enough by Taylor Schumann. those were three of my top reads this year. All IVP books, all incredible.
Thanks to Philip Marinello and to IVP for this promotion. It's pretty dope deal.
And we got one of the OG classics, which we're hoping on doing a show next year. IVP's got the rights to Knowing God, so you can get Knowing God for 40% off plus shipping.
That's classic.
Nice.
Love that.
That's awesome.
So go to ivpress.com and use code SUBPOD at checkout at ivpress.com. So when you throw those books in your cart at checkout, SUBPOD. So that's for use our code SUBPOD for 40% off and free shipping. And we're going to be doing some listener giveaways where if you want a chance to win some of those for yourself or friends, you can look out for that coming soon.
All right, shoutouts. Philip, hit us with it.
Do it.
So actually, one of my shout out today is actually going to be one of the books that you can get for 40% off and free shipping with our IVP book list. And that is Faith in the Shadows, subtitle Finding Christ in the Midst of Doubt. And that's by Austin Fischer. I've been listening to the audiobook and really enjoying it. We did our Deconstruction Reflects a little while back, and maybe we'll be doing one specifically on the role of doubt and faith. I'd love to have Austin on. We'll probably have him on sometime in the future here. I just thought it was a really excellent treatment. I don't know, frankly, if I agree with everything he says, and there are some things that I would love to actually have him on the show and clarify. But I think it is such a valuable conversation to be promoting, because I know Trevor and I and Vince have all been in environments to where we don't want to encourage doubt. We don't want to stoke doubt. But when you're in an environment where doubt is unwelcome and unallowed, that only stifles faith. Doubt is something that needs to be acknowledged and taken seriously and honestly and worked through rather than ignored and just trying to pass by it, because you can't, like this, we're talking about eternal things that we have to take on faith ultimately. Not that there aren't things that we can look at experientially or historically or archaeologically or whatever your personal lane is, whatever you gravitate towards the most, but ultimately these things do come down to faith. So doubt is something that needs to be taken seriously and addressed head on rather than avoided. And I've really been enjoying listening to this book.
Awesome.
Nice, dude.
Man, that's a good one. I'm going to add that to my list.
For sure.
For my
less
shout
than
out,
a 6-hour listen.
Yeah.
Solid.
There you go. So I want to continue to bless your playlist, and I'm going to keep it on the holiday track. So there's a singer, songwriter, producer, and his name is Kromanichi.
Of course it is. Of course it is. As soon as you giggled, I was like, all right, I'm going to have to get the spell check
I
out.
knew it was coming after I said it. I knew it. I'll spell it. It's CHROMONICCI.
Well, that's not too bad.
Kromanichi, and he mostly does beat productions, mostly like hip hop and pop, just instrumentals. But he has a track that he released 3 years ago, and I've like hit him up in the comment section like, bro, you need to make an album. That he did. The track is called Wonderful Christmas, and it's a super simple song. Probably as simple as you'll find most Christmas songs, but it's just obviously tweaked to a more hip hop pop vibe. And it's actually like, once I actually started celebrating holidays, Christmas in particular, this was the first song I was like, I actually really love this song as a Christmas song. So definitely check out all that he's got to offer. He's got quite a bit in his albums and playlists, but definitely check out Kromanichi Wonderful Christmas.
I love that. Well, Kromanichi, we'll be throwing more stuff this way, and I love that, dude. I love the personal tie-in with that, like the history there. That definitely makes it worth checking out. I'll be looking at that. My substantive shout out today, kind of along the lines of like stuff we've been enjoying, we've been reading recently. This kind of got me back into some evening time reading. So for my birthday, my wife got me the illustrated edition of Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
The set with the Hobbit stuff was pretty exciting. So I'm jumping back in. So
Is that like the newer one, like the big thick one?
yeah. It's got the guy who illustrated has like done illustrating work for Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien stuff for like years.
Is it a hardback?
It's
like
a
single
hardback.
volume?
It's got like it's nice. It's got like the bookmarks in it that like match the color of the binding and everything, and like
I'm really tempted to get that one.
Same.
the illustrations were done by the guy who like helped do some of the illustrating work for Peter Jackson that like inspired some of the visuals in the movie. So like,
wow,
it's not like riffing off the movie. It's actually some of the source work for the movie. So
that sounds legit.
And that's like your jam.
Yeah, man.
I remember you read that like a ton.
I started reading The Hobbits to my girls. So so we're like I'm working through The Hobbit with them, and then I started on The Fellowship for myself. So
are you reading The Hobbit to them both, or just the older
to them both? It's like
it's
their bedtime reading. So far they're with it. They're with it. Like,
that's awesome.
When I tried to read like longer books too when they're younger, like they'd get bored, but like they're into it. Like, oh, like Bilbo doesn't like adventures, and like he's getting dragged on one, and the dwarves, and show me the picture, Dad, and
that's exciting.
That's sweet.
The map is there in the book that they're looking at. So anyway,
gotta love a good map.
Yeah, shout out to J.R.R. and the world that he built. And if you haven't checked out Lord of the Rings ever, it's not for everybody, but it's just a wonderful story. It just sucks you in.
Sure.
It's great.
I want to get into it.
Yeah.
I want to. Since this episode's coming out in December, we are very close to the end of our 21 in 21 challenge. Not going to lie to ourselves, probably won't get 21 supporters by the end of the year here, but
Dude,
because our original goal was we were thinking we would try to snag $5 a month, folks. We've been having a lot of people sign up for 10.
Thank you so
we're
much.
Actually not very far away from 100, getting $100 a month, and which is great because we've got some plans. We already got our website up. We're talking merch and a couple other items here, and it's exciting. So if you value what we do, we live in a media age that's kind of support the things you love. So if you're able to and are interested, you can go to the Anchor link in the show notes. You can sign up for $5 or $10 a month at that link. Or if you prefer not doing monthly, but you still want to throw something our way, you can hit us up on Cash App at $the Substance Pod. I'll just say, also pull the curtain back. We got our largest single donation. We've had people give us like $5, $10, $20, whatever. We got our single biggest donation on Cash App this week, and that was very encouraging.
Yeah. So thankful.
Extremely.
So thankful for all the supporters who let us to do the website and all the great things will be coming in the future. Just appreciate you guys sharing some of your resources with the Substance and getting behind what we do. It really, really encourages us to keep it up.
And before we hit Vince with the socials, I also want to say, was just looking, we are, as of recording tonight, we are in the high 80s for Apple Podcast reviews. So if you like the show and you have any sort of Apple device and you've never given us a review, we'd love to hit 100 reviews. We got like 86 or 87 right now, and we're at a 4.9. So if we could get 100 reviews by the end of the year, that doesn't cost you anything.
It's a free way to support the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're an independent show. I'm the one who does a lot of talking to potential advertisers and looking at, like you guys are a little show, have how many episodes out, and like having almost 100 reviews on Apple Podcast, that speaks a lot to you guys and what we do here. So we appreciate you.
thesubstancepod.com. That is where you are going to find our episodes. You are going to find our social media links. You'll be able to follow us on social media. There we will have our giveaways. We are going to have future guests, questions to the guests, and you are really able to influence a lot of our episodes, especially in topic toss-up. If you comment or create a post on social media, we also have a comment section under the episode on our website. So if you want to share ideas of anything that's really gone across your mind about anything that we've said, you can definitely put your comments and thoughts in the comment section on our website, thesubstancepod.com. So engage with us online.
Substancepod.com. Yeah, if we missed anything in Elf that you thought was particularly substantive, let us know there.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid of James Caan, tell him to come on the show.
We look forward to seeing your comments at thesubstancepod.com. You can also give us an email at thesubstancepod@gmail.com, or let us hear your voice. Leave a testimonial or a note or some thoughts at 913-703-3883. If you give us a call there, you can leave that voice note and we might put you on the show.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody, from the three of us here on The Substance, Trev,
Vince.
And I'm Philip. Happy holidays from us.
Lol. And we'll see you next time
on The Substance.
Peace.
Good luck, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
100%. And definitely log on. Nope. Log on.
Sorry.
We don't even have that function.
Log on to the internet and go to.
If you have start up your AOL, make sure your phone's not on.
You've got mail.